Good morning, everyone. This is once again your host, Shailesh, bringing you live emotional well-being series where we talk about life journeys of humans. Now, this is very important life journey of humans because we learn from each other. We have to live with each other because we are all humans, but we are all unique and we are all different. So today I have got an amazing guest with us who is herself is a coach of inner work that she does. So she is more about talking about the deeper level that we can't see from our own eyes, but everybody can feel it from their own eyes. We don't need to show, someone doesn't need to show them, but she uncovers the power of that. So today I have the pleasure to invite her to this amazing episode with my beautiful, amazing colleague Zoe. For the first time, she is going to be with me and uncovering those life journeys of Sarah Berg, which is also her title. She says Sarah Speaks. So when you say someone speaks, so we are going to talk about how do we speak. So let's learn and let's understand. So welcome Sarah to this amazing episode of first time that we are going to do live on this beautiful topic of your life journey. And Zoe, welcome to this episode to for the first time she's going to be my host and co-host. So she's also the host and the co-host. I always say that. So that's okay. So, Sarah, what an amazing journey that you had. And when we came to know each other, it was amazing to not hesitate, but to talk about your life journey and to bring to this amazing episode that people can listen, people can hear, and people can understand how humans are different and how humans are unique. But they also will have the opportunity to understand how every life is so different, but we still have to live with it. So tell me something about you, Sarah. First, welcome to this show. Now,
Thanks for
before
having
I get
me.
into it, let's you tell us something about you.
Oh gosh, what would you like to know? Um,
Introduce yourself, what you are, who you are, and then we will get into Zoe, and then Zoe can take the
okay,
charge.
absolutely. Well, my name is Sarah Berg, but I am the co-founder of Sarah Speaks,
Mhm,
and I have been running my coaching business since 2023, part-time. Um, I mainly work with men, and I teach
mhm.
self-awareness and accountability.
Right. Self-awareness and accountability.
Yeah.
That's great. Let's see what Zoe has to say.
Would you like me to introduce myself as well or
Yeah,
ask?
you like to introduce yourself and then get into straight into it with Sarah.
Okay,
You
sure.
can start the show.
Sure. Well, hi everyone. I'm Zoe, and this is my first time co-hosting with Shailesh. And thank you for having me here, first of all. And my background is also as a coach and also a breath coach. So I'm excited to chat more to Sarah today and hear more about her life story and how she came to be where she is now. Yeah. So I guess maybe we should start at the beginning with Sarah's
Mm.
life journey.
Yeah.
Which would be kind of what childhood was like for you. We could maybe start there and hear a
Mhm.
little bit about what it was like growing up for you, Sarah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you. When I think about my childhood, I think probably the first thing that comes to mind is um, when I was about 7, I got diagnosed, well, I found out that I was quite blind to the
Oh.
point where like it was probably like I wasn't seeing anything. It was all pretty much a blur. So for the first 7 years of my life, I was probably just like not even focused in the world, if that makes sense. I was
Mhm.
struggling at school, so I was getting headaches. My mum was like beyond it, and she was very frustrated because she was trying to get answers but wasn't getting them. And then eventually, at 7 years old, I got my glasses. And I think that was a massive disadvantage to me, obviously, because those are the years where you learn to focus, you learn to concentrate, and it was vital first 2 years of my schooling as well. So I think it was like a starting point of just like struggling, really, especially at school and with concentrating. And um, I guess I really struggled to learn, to be honest, because of that. Yeah. Another thing I probably had to deal with is the fact that we moved around quite a lot when I was younger. So I moved to lots of different townships, had to like make new friends again. Probably the worst move I can think of is I was probably about 14, 13, and I got moved away from like my friends for life, like
Mm.
my high school friends. And I think I was just beyond it. I was sick of being moved. I was sick of having to start my life again, I guess. But I can see now that those kind of having to do those things actually made me who I am today and made me a stronger person because of it. But it was probably my first taste of like depression, I guess. And I didn't know what it was at the time. I just remember just sitting on the couch eating lots of muffins. Not wanting to socialize, not wanting to do anything like that, you know what I mean? And I was just like, why the hell should I make more friends when I just get moved away from them kind of thing?
Mm.
But that was probably my first taste. And then like school was never really my jam. I just didn't really like it that much, Um,
Mm.
and I always felt the pressure of having to find like what are you going to do after school? Who are you going to be? What are you going to do? I always carried that pressure. But when I was about 17, almost 18, I think, my parents actually broke up for a time period. And that was another stretch in my life because my mum actually moved away from me for a good couple of years, but they were probably 2 really vital years where I needed my mum around. So I had to learn to kind of like get by without having that stability.
Mm.
And I probably again found myself really struggling. And nobody talked about like, because I'm 40 now, so nobody talked about mental health or your feelings or that like you might be really struggling because of this, or like you would just like a fish in water just trying to work it out. And I look back now and I probably was not in the best mental state at all. And I really leant on exercise, I believe, to help me through that. But I see now that I was using exercise as like a massive vice. I wasn't using it as like it was like just putting a plaster on what was really going on there. But I guess because of the way I was feeling, it was also like hurting me in my jobs, in my relationships, and I just felt like I could never really get on top of anything. I was always just like dragging myself. And then it took like one really, I guess you'd call it toxic relationship, where it went on for way too long than what it should have, but it was really like probably what broke me the most. And when that did fall apart, I was just out of the blue. I had family members that lived over here in Australia, and they were just like, why don't you move to Australia? And I was like, yeah, maybe in a few months. And they're like, no, you got to come now. Like, it was just like, I know it sounds stupid how I'm saying it, but that's exactly how it went. And I was like, all right. And so I came over here and I was told I was going to have a job in the mines over here, and I was like going to start fresh again. But it ended up being a hell of a lot harder than that. And it really broke me in ways that I didn't know I was meant to be broken, I guess. But it was like all those things that I was trying to like push down and avoid, and that was all coming to the surface, and I finally had to face it.
Yeah, but coming back to that original, when you had so many hiccups or so many challenges right from the word go. So when you are 6, at that time, as a child, the mindsets, as a child, the normal lifestyle, the friends and the colleagues that you are grown up with. But you being totally into a different mindset because you already had this issue, or not the issue, but the challenge of not seeing, right? So how did that made you a little bit kind of understanding what's your life going to be, and how did you manage those stronger kind of, thinking that no, I'm not enough, or this is not enough, but I still have to live. How did you navigate those challenges?
Well, I guess like one of the things that I did notice when I got my glasses is like I went from like this cute little girl to like this girl with these big round thick glasses. Like, and when I'm
Yeah.
saying I had round glasses, I had like round fucking purple glasses.
Mm.
And I said to mum, I was like, why did you let me pick those? And she was like, because I wanted you to love them. And I was like, I couldn't see. And I was like, that was so bad, but they probably were cute back then. I don't know. But yeah, I remember that was probably my first introduction of like people judging you on how you look.
Correct. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And
That's where I'm coming to. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and I guess that's when I had to find my personality as well, because like,
mm, mm,
yeah, I had to have people see me more than just my glasses.
mm. Like one way is people judging you, the outer world of you, and one is like what is your inner telling you. That's those challenges, those navigation that you had to do every single time.
Mm.
In that moment, how do you see yourself being a girl or being a feminine kind of thing? Did you cross any mind that, oh, I can't do this now anymore, or I can't do that anymore? And so my mental health or my mindset is going to take me into a different direction rather than what you want to do at that time.
Yeah, I mean, I think I was too young to really even think like that. Do
Mm.
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, I just,
exactly.
yeah,
But
I,
you do a lot of things in the spur of the moment, and you do a lot of things the way you think. But now when you look back, those things that you did, those manage how you managed that and navigated that and made you who you are today, basically.
yeah, definitely. And I think as I've grown and obviously done more work on myself now, I can see how like that was kind of like an imprint in my life. Do you know what I mean? And that was a belief that probably continued for way too long than what it should have in
Hmm.
a lot of aspects.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, you're saying, Zoe?
Yeah, sorry, there was just an echo. Yeah, I was just going to ask that at what point you mentioned the mines and everything like that. At what point did you decide you wanted to then become a coach and help other people? Was there something, was it when you had that space in the mines to really reflect on everything and think about where you'd gone with everything?
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned this. Like I was speaking to a girl that I worked with back home in New Zealand just before I moved over here. Um, and she was saying to me then that I was saying that I wanted to be a coach, and I totally forgot about it, and that was back in like 2016, 2017. I think it was always just something in the back of my mind. Um, but I think what I wasn't aware of is that I needed to be coached myself. And I did start seeing coaches, but it wasn't probably until I like really invested in myself with a coach, and I learned a lot about triggers and just understanding that like the things that I'm feeling in certain situations aren't actually the situation in front of me, like it's coming from my past. And once I was able to clip that together, I was helping other people do the same thing, like my friends around me and my family. And I was like, oh, this is pretty cool, because when you start to understand it and start to see it, you realize how many other people are just so unaware of it. And then yeah, it gets a bit addictive, but it's also just so rewarding. And it wasn't until I did a holistic counseling course I'd seen a family constellation play out, because I always wanted to be a coach. Obviously, I had that in the back of my mind, but I just didn't want to be a coach for sake of being a coach. But it was like day and night after seeing that family constellation. I was like, oh wow, I really get this now on this bizarre level that I just didn't get before. And I offered to coach my friend for free, and she was having these amazing breakthroughs and just amazing, like she was messaging me and she's saying, I'm like, I'm in tears. And like, I was like, I didn't even know what was going on. You know what I mean? But that was like kind of like the icing on the cake for me. I was like, oh, this is where I want to be. This is what I want to do.
Yeah, one of the thing is like the confidence you built when you had challenges. So how did you navigate that confidence in that area, in that zone, in that circumstances?
How did I build the confidence to become a coach? Was
Yeah,
that the
yeah.
question? Oh, day by day, step by step, just like, I remember when I first wanted to write my first post, I would send it to like 10 of my friends before I'd even put it out there, you know what I mean? Like, and it was just moving that muscle, like just doing it more and more and more, and then not like needing the validation so much. And I mean, I feel like when you're in this world, it's forever a challenge. There's always a new challenge coming up, do you know what I mean? But it's just doing it. You just got to do it. Just close your eyes and do it. And I think as the more you do it, the less you care what other people think anyway, because you're so focused on what you're trying to achieve and what you're wanting to, you know, because once you start to see what you're doing is actually helping people, we don't really care about the noise that's happening.
Sure.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to ask a bit more about your coaching work, Sarah. Just often as coaches, we do like to, maybe there's something that we feel we've really overcome within ourselves that we then feel really passionate about helping other people with. Did you find that was part of your own experience as well through your own lessons?
Oh, yeah, 100%. Like I practice what I preach. That's definitely something that I always live by. Yeah, I don't think I would be the coach today if I had not got coached myself and had the difficult conversations as well and put myself out there and, had many breakdowns along the way. Yeah, like I think it's such a key thing that you have to do, because like when you've got someone in front of you talking about their life and everything, it's such a vulnerable thing, and you've got to know how that feels in a lot of aspects.
Definitely.
For them to actually feel like you're listening and you're there. Yeah.
Was there a certain thing that you really overcame that drives you with your work? Like a certain, I think you were saying around inner, like that, what you actually help people with. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So you're saying like my niche, how did I know?
Yeah, basically, from your own experiences. Yeah.
From the very first time I coached, I've kind of kept it the same, because I feel like so many people don't know who they are, or understand like the journey that they've been on has made them who they are today. So I think I mainly focus on the awareness, right? Because it's such a broad subject, and it can it comes from different, you've got awareness from your younger age, and then your awareness from today, and then your awareness on your conscious and like your nervous system, and it just goes on and on when it comes to awareness, I guess. And I was just so focused on awareness, but then I realized that we can have all the awareness in the world, but if we're not actually taking accountability for what we can now see, then it really doesn't mean shit. So I think that was like a massive thing. But I also think it was just helping people understand that a lot of their heartache that they're carrying, or their pain that they're carrying, or the confusion that they're carrying isn't actually theirs a lot of the time as well. Like it's just beliefs being passed down, and helping them put those pieces together. I've just always noticed that that's always been a real breakthrough for people.
Yeah. So just on that, like what awareness is a very important part of it. Like I know we always say that are you awake? So when you say are you awake, is it wide open your eyes, or are you awake from your mind? So
Yeah.
again, it's like, are you awareness? Awareness, are you aware of your surroundings you're talking about? Are you awareness of your inner self? This is
Yeah.
how I see it. How did
Mhm.
you now find, like, because I know you are all about inner awareness and inner self to make understand and make believe everyone. What really triggered that point that, hey, am I looking around me or I have to look inside me? What did trigger that? How did that trigger you?
Um, it's such a broad,
Yeah.
complex question, but like, I
I
mean,
just want to like,
I
because,
think do you know we all have a little bit of dark night. I think when we're all in
correct,
this world, we're dark night of the soul, right?
correct,
Like I think
correct.
when we're having those,
Hmm.
um, you really have to face a lot of your darkness and a lot of like the shit that you enabled throughout your life and why you've allowed that, you know?
Yeah.
And I think when you've sat in that place and you've done that work, it cracks you open in ways that you don't expect. It's a very hard one to explain because unless you've been through it, you get it, or if you
Correct.
haven't,
And
yeah,
that's why I'm
yeah,
asking you from your perspective, that
yeah,
how did that trigger you that make awareness of your own rather than controlling the outside world around you or lying, how did that happen?
yeah.
Trigger. One fine
I
day,
think I
sometimes you
just
awake.
Yeah, I think I just got really over my own stuff. Even
Mm.
when I was like learning about, even though being coached and learning about things and stuff like that, it still takes a long time for you to really click what's going on.
Mm.
But I guess once you do touch that a little bit of awareness and you start to like notice certain things, it's like a flow-on effect.
Mm.
And then it just gets bigger and bigger, I guess, in that aspect.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do find like the hardest times that I've gone through have been my biggest breakthroughs for sure.
So it's not a
Yeah.
bad thing to go through the hardest times.
No, it's needed, to be honest. 100%. 100%. It's a blessing in a lot of ways.
There you
Yeah.
go.
We did
Right.
speak a little bit about those hard times, like the blindness and moving house and
Mm.
toxic relationship. Would you say there were any like major lessons that you learned through going through those difficult
Mm.
experiences?
Yeah, I mean, when I think about my hardest times, it's probably not even those. Like I've had two sisters both lose babies at like um birth. And one was like in 2023. And this was just before I started my coaching business, I guess. And it was just like our worst nightmare coming to light for the second time. Um, but I think what that made me realize going through it the second time was just how differently I was able to handle that situation. And it was due to the work that I had done. You know what I mean? Obviously, my sister was going through the worst time of her life. But I remember the first time it happened, I was in my 20s and I just didn't handle it very well. I had no awareness around my emotions or what I was doing or like how to handle my emotions that were coming up.
Mm.
And then to go through it the second time and just see that like I had boundaries as well. So I had a lot of boundaries around what I would, and it ruffled some feathers, but um, because of the situation of how my sister lost their baby and there was no real answers to it, there was a lot of like questions around it and a lot of people talking about lots of different things, and I had to just be like, I don't want to talk about it because one, it doesn't change the situation, but two, I know what I can handle and I can't handle hearing this. Because I knew I had to go home. I was going to be leaving my family and I had to go home and I had to continue on with my life. So I think that was a real lesson for me in understanding like you got to have boundaries and you've got to know your limits as well. Yeah.
Right. So in your world now, what do you think that all the listeners who are listening now must be thinking that, okay, what is self-awareness, or what is this when you talk about it, how you can control your own self? What's the emotional well-being? Because this is all affects our emotions, and our emotions are always changing and challenging ourselves, not the others. But we put our emotions to others. How do you
Yeah,
see that?
I think one of the things I always say to my clients is it's not about when we go down, it's how quickly we can get ourselves back up, right? And even
Mhm.
today, I've had a shit day, you
Mhm.
know. I woke up today, maybe
Mhm.
not in the mindset that I wanted to wake up in, right?
Yeah.
But I also know that I've got I'm in control. I've got to take accountability for that. And I've got to
Mhm.
learn to shift myself quicker than what I have in the past to
Mhm.
move through this.
Yeah.
So and to be honest with you, it's probably like again taking me a long time to fully understand that. And I know that sounds weird, but like it's like we can sometimes get into a little bit of a habit and a pattern of just allowing us to sit in it for too
Mhm.
long and be in our victim mentality for too long.
Yeah.
But once you can start to see the cues of like what's actually happening and what you're doing, which is generally sitting in like scarcity, fear, you
Mhm.
know, all those kind of things, all the low frequency kind of thought process. And just understanding that, it's up to you to shift yourself to move from that.
Yeah, accountability is huge. I just want to ask you a little bit more on boundaries as well, Sarah. You mentioned it before. For me personally, it was a huge part of my journey as well. So I just wanted to hear a little bit more around what boundaries means for you and how learning them and how you use them now to make your life better.
Yeah, definitely. I think when it comes to boundaries, it's not about you setting the boundary as such. It's more so around the people understanding that, because I think it's like an identity thing, right? And when we're in friendship groups and we're in families and everything, we just fit into that identity that we slot into. And then when we start to shift that narrative, they don't know quite understand it or how to move around it. So it's actually having more understanding for the people that you're trying to set the boundaries with than what it is having with yourself. I personally think anyway. Um, because you're trying to shift the dynamic of the friendships and the families, especially your families. I think that's the hardest one, because I always notice when I go home from New Zealand, I just slot back into that identity.
Mm.
And even though I'm aware of it, I still do it. Um, but I also think with boundaries, it's not about having an argument with someone. It's not trying to prove your point. It's just like learning how to communicate it in a way where they're actually going to hear it, and explaining why you're setting that boundary.
That's important. Yeah.
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 I recently did it actually when I was home. Me and my sister were traveling down to see my other sister,
Mhm.
and she um we got a call that like the roads were closed on the road that we were originally supposed to go down, and she started like getting really like she was getting anxious about it. And I
Mhm.
was doing something on my phone and like just wasn't working for me, so I was getting a bit frustrated, and then she just like at me. And I was like, whoa, what just happened? You know? And I could instantly see that this wasn't even about me. It was just the fact that you're anxious about having to take a different road, The
Mm.
the plan had changed. And I just said to her, I was like, I just don't appreciate you taking that out on me, And I was just really calm about it. I just explained how it came across. I even like showed her why she did it, kind of thing. But I also said, I'm not going to tolerate being spoken to like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So here is something I wanted to jump in and ask you, Sarah. It's like, you have challenges. We all have challenges. Everybody goes through challenges. And then we have options either to go with the flow, or we make a conscious decision for ourselves. How would you now see it going through all that? Have you been now more, whenever, as you said, boundaries is one of the things that means you are consciously noticing something, and you want to consciously make those changes or decisions, irrespective of who you are dealing with, whether family or friends or whatever. How important it is for you now to see that as a conscious decision, or just as a subconscious, whatever happens comes your way, just face it, or make a conscious decision and face it. How would you see that?
Um, look,
Because ultimately it affects our emotions and emotional well-being,
yeah,
no matter whichever way you look at it.
yeah. Um, are you kind of asking me like, how do I deal with like being,
Like how important it is, self-awareness, how
yeah.
important to make a conscious decision by
Oh,
having the,
right.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Um, well, I think it's really important, like to, especially I think if we use relationships as an example, is like,
Mm.
it's one of the things that I will talk to my clients a little bit about. It's like, how long have you complained about, how long has she complained about you not emptying the dishwasher? Like, how long have you guys had a fucking argument about not emptying the dishwasher, right? And is it
Yeah.
really about emptying the dishwasher?
Mm.
And it's like, it's so important to be able to see behind what is actually being said.
Mm.
And I think it will so save a lot of people a lot of like time and energy and just misunderstanding. I think we argue way too much about the thing that's not the thing.
Yeah, but countering to that is like intentions versus expectations, because when you have
Yeah,
expectations, irrespective of who you are dealing with.
yeah. But I guess you can use that in like any concept as well, like even um yeah, you can just I'll use my running, for example, right? It's like at the
Mhm.
moment I'm running 3 kilometers every day,
Yeah.
and everybody like wants to message me and talk about the running, but it's like
Mhm.
it's not even about the running, guys. Nothing to do with the running, right? That's the like how I worked on myself and my mindset is the running is the product of that, you
Mm.
know? And that's where I think people just see things so surface level is because I haven't been training for running 3 kilometers every day, right? I'm not an athlete. Sometimes I like to think I'm a natural athlete, but I'm not.
Mm.
But it's the fact that I've now just put my mind to it and I've made it happen, but I've had to strengthen my mind to get to that point. And people just want to get out there and run. They
Mm.
don't want to learn how to like, walk 3 kilometers first. They just want to go out there and run. And yeah, you have to be willing to like get uncomfortable and, ask yourself the questions and
Mm.
do the work. And also invest in yourself is a massive thing as well, because it's so hard to just do it on your own. Like yeah, you've got to get yourself in the rooms, you've got to get yourself talking to the right people,
Mm.
to process in that way.
Mm. That leads me to the dependency. The world that we are living in is too much dependency, right? So we depend on little things. But then this is what you are talking about is the self-awareness, where you don't need to depend too much, but you can depend on yourself more compared to others, right?
You can, but like I couldn't be the person I am today without the people that I've had come into my life. You know what I
Of
mean?
course.
But then I had to independently make that decision as well. So yeah, it does, it goes side by side in a lot of ways.
Correct.
But
Mm.
like for me to be able to be a coach and like know how a coach works and everything, I had to put myself in front of a coach and see them and
Mm.
be coached myself,
Mm.
For me to understand things on another level, I had to hear someone else,
Mm.
speak it and understand it as well,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were saying something, Zoe?
Oh yeah, I definitely agree with Sarah. Like I went through the same process myself coming into my own coaching journey. I was also coached for a year at least and had multiple mentors before that. And I do think you need someone to guide you along the way. I was interested to hear a little bit more. You spoke about triggers earlier. I just wanted to hear a little bit more around like through your own coaching experience from you being coached and now you coaching other people. How do you feel that that's helped you in regards to responding to triggers?
Yeah, awesome. So they had this real thing at work, especially, and um, whenever I did something wrong, I was over analyzing that situation a lot, right? And it would make my whole day spiral. And I think my biggest breakthrough was understanding that when I was in high school, I had a teacher talk down at me and make me feel like I was nothing. You know what I mean? And I remember leaving that day. My body was just like, I felt pins and needles kind of thing. Like I understand now, like it was like an imprint that happened that day. It was how he made me feel. And I think when I sat with my coach and he kept me going back and back, understanding where it came from. Once I could see where it came from and the story that I've carried with that, it was like when that feeling came up, it was like, oh, I know where this is from. I know exactly where this has come from now. And it's almost like it just took the power away from it. It was still there and it still does come up, but because I know what it is now, it's like I just don't let it go. And I think one of the biggest things he said to me was like, a lot of people don't care what you're doing. I know that, like, they really don't care that much about what you're doing. Even when you do make a mistake, they might think about it for 5 seconds and then they get on with their day because the most important person to somebody is themselves. And I think that was just a real big eye opener that we spend so much time worrying about other people when they're not worried about us. And I think understanding my own triggers and seeing that has helped me definitely help my clients in that aspect as well, for sure.
Yeah. No, that is very important. That's where we break free from ourselves of the patterns that we are
Yeah,
into, right?
100%. Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
But your transformation as Zoe mentioned very nicely, that first you coach yourself and then you become coach and then you coach others. That transition, that transformation, that journey also takes a lot of courage, a lot of confidence, but I think a lot of awareness. This is where then who you are, what you are capable of, what you can do and what you can't do. But mainly is what you can do. That's most of the people don't understand what you can do. They only know what you can't do. They try to even always put down themselves that they can't do this, they can't do that, but they don't forget that what they can do is more powerful than concentrating on what you can't do. How do you feel that way, Zoe? What do you think?
Can you repeat that last bit? Sorry.
The most of the people or humans, we are very much into that of you can't do this, you can't do that, I can't do it, I can't do that. But nobody concentrates on, oh, I can do this. I can do this easily.
Yeah, that's all around the mindset, I guess, isn't it? Because
Mm,
often we do doubt ourselves, but when we can learn to shift our perception and we can learn to believe in ourselves and
mm,
focus on the positive,
mm,
that's powerful, But we need to be aware of that negative self-talk in the first place.
mm.
Yeah,
And what Sarah's journey is all about, in spite of all the challenges, she understood like what I can do. So she's become today a coach.
yeah,
She didn't probably realize at that time that I could become coach, but yeah, but she did become a coach. So that means there must be some trigger points that has come through, right, in her life as well. How do you see that, Sarah, now that you are a coach, and what do you think moving forward, your mindset, your pattern, that you have let go many things, but then you are embracing different things, new things?
Yeah, I guess this year is a prime example of that. So obviously,
Mm,
very self-aware of myself as I'd like to
mm,
think that I take a lot of accountability But what I was noticing is I was in a bit of a pattern where like it would be going good, 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 and then it would I would sort of fall down a little bit. And so I really just really focusing on how I start my day. What's the first, like, like choosing how to show up each day and getting myself into that habit of like setting that mindset each day, not just letting it just how would you say it? It's like just being more conscious about my thought process and what is actually coming up and shifting it way quicker than what I was in the past, I guess, not allowing myself to sit there as much. Because again, you can have all the awareness and you can take accountability as well. And it's all very well taking accountability of like seeing what's going on and that you have to be programming yourself every single day you have to really stop and think like, where am I pulling from today, why am I pulling from there, and just like learning to shift it way quicker, because I think especially when you're running a business and you're working with other people, you can't allow yourself to sit there for too long, really. Your mindset is like your number one priority in a lot of ways, but it's also being real about it as well. Like, I'm not here to like say I'm fucking perfect and I've got everything sorted, because I don't. And I think with coaching, it's not just about understanding it, it's also being able to just be a good listener, have people trust you as well. You got to build that trust. You've also got to get people's trust online as well, which I think is like the most underrated thing about being a coach. Like, I have so many people come to me and say, oh, I want to be a coach. I'm like, we'll post something, and they'll just say, oh no, I'm not ready. I'm like, well, you're not ready to be a bloody coach then, like you're so far away from it, it's not funny, because you can know all the things, but you've actually just got to do it. And I think there's probably a lot of good people out there that could be amazing coaches. They just can't start. And that's the key, I guess. Yeah. And then just like moving through the motions of what comes with that. And being resilient. You have to be so resilient, because you're a coach, you're a business owner, you're an influencer, you're like you're everything, you're all the things. So it's forever challenging, if I'm honest.
Yeah, it's like they're saying, feel the fear, but do it anyway. You have to just put yourself out there, don't you?
100%. Yeah, definitely. And not every day you're going to want to do it either. And you sometimes you just have to do it and walk away and just not even like have that much of a connection to the outcome of what we're doing, because it is consistency and it's just building it over time as well.
Showing up. Yeah,
it is. But yeah, the coaching part is probably the easy part, right, Zoe?
Yeah.
Like, it honestly is. Like, the coaching part is the easy part, because that's the part that like you naturally what you like. That's what drew you to it in the first place. You know what I mean? And then like, for me, it just comes very natural, and it just felt like my purpose. But it's been all the other stuff that comes with trying to grow a coaching business. It's been the most challenging part for me, most definitely. Yeah. Like this is very challenging right now, if I'm honest. Like, this is out of my comfort zone. I've done a few, but they're still like, this is, but I love it. It's stretching yourself. It's growing. So it's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, authenticity and unapologetically having a conversation, and also very much authentically, today's world that we live in and the system that we live in is totally different to what there is very less authenticity, less unapologetic comments and conversations. So when you are coaching, how do you see the patterns now currently with the world that we are living in? People expectations are too much sometimes, and most of the times, I guess.
Yeah.
How do you deal with that?
I just really listen to what's underneath what they're saying to me. And I don't really know how to explain that in a way of like how to help people get that. But like, like I had a guy come to me and he was like, I don't know why, maybe he can't get the relationship, or like, you know, he's having trouble with other people, and he's like, I'm such a nice guy. And I was like, yes, you're a nice guy, but it's like it's coming from a place of, you know, you as desperate, you know, like your energy is off-putting. And why is that? Like, where is that coming from? Do you know what I mean? Because you can keep saying you're the nice guy, but really that's a vice that you're using to ignore what's behind the nice guy, you know? And so once we could start to peel that back, he got, you know, better understanding. So it's like, if I was just to take him by, I'm a nice guy, I'm like, oh, you are a nice guy. Let's talk about that. You know, what are you doing that's so nice? And like, why do you think these people are letting you down? But like, if we got really real, like, he's just using that as like as a vice behind all the other things that are going on behind a nice guy. Does
Right.
that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, it does. So, like, how people feel that guilt, shame, regrets, these are the
Yeah,
things that really cloud the human mind. And most of the humans, they try to hide up in that space. But what you are trying to do is uncovering their own kind of and build that trust among
yeah,
themselves, right?
yeah,
Very challenging for
yeah.
many people.
That's yeah. Um, yeah, I mean, if I was to think about,
Hmm. So just from
yeah,
coming from that angle, like, how you said, like, that when you deal with all this, building the trust among yourself, but is one part that you did among yourself. But then now you're coaching to build others into that space. You're trying to bring them into your space of what you uncovered and what you discovered, right? How challenging it is for you now.
so just explain that a little bit clearer, sorry. So
So how,
like,
how challenging it is to coach or to build that trust for those people when you are coaching to get in terms of their own relationship and self-awareness and build that trust for themselves to have a relationship with them first.
you know what, like, it's quite crazy. You know, the guy that I was
Mm.
just talking about, like the nice guy.
Mhm.
Like, and
Yeah.
we have a bit of a laugh about that. Like,
Yeah.
but you know, it was like a couple of weeks in, and he messaged me and he goes, Sarah, like, I've healed my son's talking to me again, you know, and I was like,
Yeah.
well, this is a bit quick, you know.
Mm.
And I was, you know, but it's crazy how quickly people's lives can shift once they can start to shift things within inside of
Mm.
themselves, you
Mm.
know. And I've seen it happen time and time again. That it just can't be a fluke anymore, you know. Because then they start to, like, the cool thing about self-awareness is once you start to grasp some awareness about yourself, you start to see other things around you clearer as well. And you know, like, the reason he was being so, like, the nice guy thing was coming through, like, you know, desperate energy kind of thing, is because he so wanted connection, but he didn't realize the one connection he was wanting was the connection with his son again, you know. And then once he could kind of fix that and like see that, and that was starting to heal, it
Mm.
was he wasn't looking at for validation on the outside as much.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, when that it's just I don't know, it's never ending kind of thing, but it's always kind of similar. Like another guy I was working with as well, you know, he's going through a situation where he has lost his children, like he doesn't have a relationship with his children, and you know, that's really hard for him. But like, he was pouring all that emotion and anger into other things, and he was self-sabotaging himself so much in that aspect that, you know, we had to look at other ways on where he can put that energy and not continue that pattern of self-sabotaging, because he was only making it worse for himself. Um, but sometimes it's really hard to see that when you're in it, you know. So when you've got someone there just sort of like guiding you and showing you and giving you a different perspective, or having them tell you how it looks, you know, I never tell someone that that's how it is. I'm just like, this is my perspective, you know, you take what you want from that kind of thing. But
Mm.
hmm.
Yeah. So, Zoe, you want to add something and you want to ask something, please go ahead, and then we will, like, this is human journey we are talking about. And I think you are in the space as well where you do all sorts of things where, as a coach, as a breath work, how important it is for realization as a journey of human,
Mm.
how important it is. So, and you both are coaches now here. You can talk and you let me know. I can understand and learn more.
I just wanted to talk a little bit more. We were speaking on the negative thought process when people get stuck in those loops and
Yeah.
things like that. Yeah, I just was wondering, Sarah, if you had any like tips or tricks for the viewers around how maybe they can snap themselves out of that state or something that they can do to help shift their state.
Mm.
Absolutely. I think, well, you first got to see that you're actually in the pattern.
Oh, exactly. That's the hardest part, isn't it?
That is the hardest part, I think.
Yeah.
So I guess it's just like, I would start with a trigger, I guess. Understanding like, and I think taking note of what your body's telling you as well. And then just like maybe noticing how often that is actually coming up. And then, really sitting with that feeling. I think it's like meditation's a really good one where you just sort of like try and like, calm your mind, but also maybe take yourself back to like that first time you may felt that feeling. And then, I think once you can kind of grasp where it's coming from, you can take more control of it, because once you can start to feel it coming up, you know exactly what it is. So you're able to peel it back before you react. But I also think another thing is too, is like, we all know what it feels like to be in bed, not wanting to fucking move, not wanting to face the day, right? Just think of that one thing that you know is going to make you feel good. What's going to get you out of bed on that day? What's going to like, and like, even if it is like paying $100 to get a massage or doing something like that, like it's worth $100 if it's going to get you in a better state of mind, and it's going to get you moving and, is not like, because I think we can get to a point where we can find we can just be in a little bit of like a tumble effect of like, it's been one day, then it's been 2 days. It's like it's worth $100 to shift your mindset and get yourself up there.
Yeah, definitely.
So one thing I wanted to ask both of you, like, do you think that the coaches, do all humans now need coaches?
Well, let's be honest, we are in a world of AI, right?
Yeah.
And I think to an extent, like you can obviously ask it questions, but unless you know what questions you're going to ask it that are going to get the correct answer, then you're probably going to find yourself in a rabbit hole that does make no sense. So I think humans need more connection. Like I think this is half the problem today, right? Is that we actually need these conversations that we're having. We need, even if it is on a computer screen, it's still a human. We're still having real conversation. We're still being vulnerable. We're still not being perfect, because I think we're becoming so perfect that it's becoming unhealthy for us, that we're all so scared to be, show our faults, which I think is going to become a real toxic thing in the long run. So I do think I think coaches are going to become more and more important, because people are going to want to have that personality and that, the vulnerability and the connection. And yeah, I also think like it's such a personal thing as well. And I think like with therapists, counselors, coaches, everything, right? It's like dating. You're not going to get you're not going to get a perfect one the first time. And, but it's like, don't give up, because, there will be someone out there that you will click with, and they can shift your life in ways you don't expect.
No, you're right. Like we need more connections. We need conversations like this
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
AI cannot develop. I don't think AI will ever develop an emotional connection.
We don't want it to get to that point, do we?
Yeah,
Because
I
otherwise we're just
don't
going to be
know.
sad robots, And I think we've got to really like fight for that in a lot of ways. Like us humans have to fight for the fact that we do not just want to be talking to robots for the next for the rest of our lives, do we?
Absolutely.
Like,
Absolutely.
I don't even think we realize right now how cool and powerful this conversation's been, and we won't
Yeah.
actually, but you don't get that from talking to a computer.
No,
Yeah,
I agree. Yeah.
yeah.
So we are almost coming to the end, Zoe. Please have your whatever you want to talk now and see what we can, what are the messages that we offer all our listeners. So you can ask questions to further
Yeah.
about the life journey to Sarah.
Yeah, I guess, Sarah, just through everything you've been through, your journey, which led you to where you are today, and what you now teach other people, just wondering if you've got like one thing you'd like to leave the listeners with, like one piece of wisdom or knowledge that you'd like to share specifically.
Do I? Funny because I've always got shit going on up here, but when you ask me, I'm like, I don't know, nothing. Just don't take anything for face value. Like, go beyond it, look deeper.
Yeah.
It's never the situation, it's the pattern. And it's just wake up. Yeah, honestly, just
Yeah.
wake up. Like, stop being an autopilot. It's not the way to live. Start, noticing yourself, listen to yourself in conversations, listen to yourself in arguments. Like, are you fighting for validation, or are you actually just wanting to be heard? Because there is a difference.
Okay. Absolutely. Yeah, to all the listeners, this is absolutely an amazing conversation we are having with Sarah, which she calls Sarah Speaks, and this is what we are speaking. Right, Sarah? Sarah Speaks. So we will call it this as Sarah Speaks. So all the listeners, you should speak too. And what she mentioned is also good about awake. We have to be not on autopilot. We always have to be on the awareness and awakeness. And I think that's the message that I took it from here with this. But also, when you said about accountability, coach, it triggered me, and to all the listeners also probably. We are not accountable for many things. We just think that it is okay not to be accountable. We just do things without accountability, without responsibility at many times because that's our subconscious mind telling us. But then when you say we have to be awake, that means we are talking about consciously, and conscious mind also triggers to accountability. That's where awareness comes. So it is amazing to have this, taking the responsibility without shame, without guilt, all of that. And I think that is more important to make us who you are as a human being, because we have all these ingredients, the vulnerability, the awareness, and the self-awareness, all that we need. But most importantly, I think one of the things I wanted to highlight here to all the listeners and to myself as well is like you have to develop a relationship with ourselves first before even looking at outer side. And if you know yourself a little bit about your own, and then you can change something that you don't like about yourself. So when you change about yourself, then you have the ability and the capability to change around us, whatever little we could. Does that make sense, Sarah? Summarizes into that, or you have to add something on that? Please open your mind. Please open your mind on that, because I think it's
Yeah.
a very powerful thing to develop relationship with ourselves. Very powerful,
Yeah.
which not many people think.
Well, I think we do rely on people too much.
Exactly. Yeah.
We do. And we look to blame the people around us before we'll ever look to ourselves. But I think
Yeah.
if one lesson you can take away from this is, like, if you start to actually take accountability for how you're showing up, for what actions you're taking, for how you're communicating, you'll
Yeah.
notice a huge change immediately. And that's the honest truth, because I've been there myself. I've been in the victim mentality, and it gets you nowhere. Yeah, it just keeps you on the train of nowhere.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
mentality is a very good word because that's where we set our mindsets to certain things. Maybe because our pattern, as you has mentioned, maybe because of the way we are not aware of it or we are not trying to develop relationship with ourselves. So we create that mindset for our own self. And that mindset doesn't lead to exploration or doesn't lead to other side of your own skills and talent that you could uncover in my world. So I think we got to be open and very much flexible in our mindset. But if you set your mindset to certain patterns, certain things, then you are restricting, you are the own victim of your own, basically. Does that make sense? So,
yeah, 100%. Yeah. But the unfortunate thing is, well, unfortunate but fortunate thing is you have to grow your self-awareness to know what you're taking accountability for though.
yeah.
So yeah, get to work, guys. Yeah, you're running out of time. No. No, it's a journey and it takes time. And I think, it's funny when you ask someone what they think self-awareness is, they'll just people have got such like a surface level thought
Mm.
process about it, and it is, you just got to go deeper, like start talking to your mum and dad about their childhood and ask your grandparents about their childhood, and then like start looking at like the things you have been through and like what's that brought up for you and like where is that shining its light today in your world, you know what I mean? Because a lot of the times we are just little kids in adults bodies, right?
Yeah.
And we're a lot of the times we're like hurt kids in adult bodies. Just and one of my favorite things is like whenever because I do mainly work with men, when they come to me, it's like I'm talking to the boy, and when they leave, I'm talking to the man, and that's when I know I've done my job.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Wonderful.
yeah.
Wonderful, Sarah. This is amazing. There's a lot of things to good things to be taken away, a lot of positive things for us to consider when we have to live this journey. One final, I wanted to ask, like, what is according to you the human? The last, this is final, what I want to understand is we all have a human journey because we are born as a human, but then we are living with other humans. And that's one of the things which is called, I personally feel that acceptance is the first and foremost thing, that if we don't accept ourselves, then we don't accept others. And when we don't accept others, then we can't live with others that really make a meaningful life or can have a meaningful journey of a human. In that space, since you have been through all of that changes and challenges, and now you are also coaching, so how would you put that in one simple way to understand the humans who are listening? Is what is in a one simple way, what is human life? What is human journey? This is all about. Are we here to complete something? Are we here to make something or accumulate something? What is it? Or is it just enjoy the way it is, the way you have understood because you've
Um,
been through challenges as well?
yeah, yeah. I mean, I guess I'm still trying to work that out myself in a lot of ways. You know what I mean? Like that's so broad, but like, I think don't. I think one of the things that like we say in society, is like a midlife crisis. Don't wait for your fucking midlife crisis, right? Like,
Yep.
because it's not a midlife crisis, it's just that you got to the point where you're like, what am I? Who am I? What am I doing? And
Mm,
we're all going to get there at some point, but sometimes
mm.
it happens at 25, sometimes it happens at
Correct.
35, sometimes it happens at 56. You know what I mean? Like it's so
Correct.
like,
Correct.
but you can choose now at the time that you are right now to work through, and we've all got things that we've got to work through, we all want to change, and yeah, I think
Sure.
it's like, what am I, who am I, what am I doing? They're the things that you want to look at, and don't just do it like once or twice, like stop and really reflect on that like once a year. Don't allow yourself to get to the point where you're having the breakdown or the midlife crisis. And also like just understand that we're all hurting. We're all in the same boat in some ways, we've all got our different things, even the people that have the perfect lives, they're still working it out themselves, you know. And it's not about like being perfect. It's just learning to, you know, have that awareness around yourself, so then you can learn to have that control, learn to take that accountability, and then like honestly, like it just helps life feel less painful, I guess. Not easy, just a little bit less painful. Yeah.
What's your thoughts on it, Zoe?
On life?
On
Or
life, yeah, on human life.
it's a big question.
Yeah.
I mean, I believe that life is a journey. Yeah.
Mhm.
And it does comes with ups and downs. It's never going to be
Mhm.
smooth
Yeah.
sailing, you know, it comes up and down, and we've got to ride the waves. And we definitely do need to, I agree with Sarah speaking about, you know, accountability and awareness. They're two really important things, and they are things that we do develop when we go through these waves and we go through these difficult times. And every time we face a challenge or a difficult situation, it helps us grow. You know, we continue to evolve with every difficult time that we move through. So that's all part of the journey. Yeah.
So does that mean, in other words, you live your life authentically and
Yeah.
unapologetically?
Yeah. Yeah. We're all here having the human experience, and it's full of
Yeah.
ups and downs,
Yep.
and it's not easy sometimes, and it's okay to admit that and to get help when you need help, you know. Yeah.
And there is no such thing called perfection, as Sarah says.
Yep.
There's nothing perfect.
Yep.
We are all imperfectly perfect, right?
No, but I think like your
Tell me.
foundation is so important though, right? Like having a more stable foundation. So like, you know, for instance, if you were to be called in tomorrow and there was like a really something happened tragically in your family, right? And that's going to change your life for ages. If you're already on a shaky foundation, you're not going to be able to handle dealing with that situation. So it's also just always just being aware of like, how is your foundation? Like if something was to hit you tomorrow, are you going to be able to handle that?
Yeah, but the thing is like, yes, one way of looking at are we going to handle it, but the other way of looking at it is like, okay, it's going to happen. As Zoe says, up and downs are going to be there. So
Yeah, they are. But then like you can always like have a stable, like I know personally, right, that like if I was to have something thrown to me tomorrow, it's going to hit me, yes, but I've done so much work that my
correct.
foundation is stable enough that I know I'm not going to lose myself in it. Do you know what I mean? I'm going to be able to move through these emotions. I'm going to be able to understand them. I'm going to take accountability for how like I feel and how I react in those moments, you know. And those they can make the most simplest, the hardest things so much more easier to deal with.
But I think it comes back to that accountability as well, Sarah, that you were speaking of. It's like you can create that stable foundation for yourself when you are accountable, right? Because you're not being a victim and you're not putting your power into other people, because you're building something yourself and creating that stability yourself.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, 100%. Like I know, I actually did a post about this not long ago, but I was like in Thailand with my friend, and she asked me to come with her because I was like the cool, calm, collected friend, you know. And when I got to Thailand and like I was in a spin, like I just was so reactive. I was like not enjoying myself. I couldn't sit down. I was not the cool, calm, collected friend, you know. And again, it was in this time when nobody talked about this stuff. Like I don't know what was going on with me. And then like it was literally probably 6 months after that trip I'd got home. Like I think I lost my cousin to suicide, and then my sister lost her baby, right? And so I was dealing with that on such a rocky foundation that I lost myself. And, you know, and it didn't end there. I also lost a friend in a motorbike accident. That's all in 1 year. And after I'd gone through all of that, because you sort of just like, so you're surviving really, aren't you, when you're dealing with things like that. That took me a good few years to come right from that, you know. And that's why I think it's so important to have that foundation, because I think now if that was something like, obviously I'm older and a lot more wiser as well, and all that kind of helps as well, but I also see a lot of people my age still not dealing with life, you know?
Of course.
Yeah.
So that's why there is no silver bullet for this human journey. You just
Yeah.
adapt to every single circumstances.
Yeah. And we can't avoid the hard times. They're
And
always
we
going to
can't.
be there and they're going to pop up, you know,
Yeah.
but
They're gonna-
what we can do is we can take accountability on how we're going to show up on them.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why they say that for me, from this conversation, I can only resonate to one thing is like, we all will be conflicting with ourselves, with others, every single moment, it's about, as we say, oh, conflict, conflict, conflict. But how do you manage? Conflict will always be there. How do you manage is what makes you who you are. And that's something that I can take it from here. Um, that's
Yeah,
what,
like conflict's always going to be there. Yeah, it's
yeah,
just down to how you manage
it's
manage
how
with
do
it,
you
and
manage?
yeah, how you
It's the
communicate with it.
process, right?
Yeah, yeah, we can't avoid it.
We
Like
can't avoid
that's
it.
ridiculous. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You can't avoid it. Otherwise, yeah, we're just
That's what I see it to all the listeners. This is wonderful conversation. Sarah is always there to help you as a coach, and so is Zoe. So please write to us. Let us know what you want. But I can take one message out of this is like be yourself and try to understand your own self relationship with yourself, but also be aware and always make those, as she said, awake. Be yourself awake, not just open your eyes and say I'm awake, but open with your mind as well, and so that you know what exactly going around you and what's going inside you and what's available for you to deal with. That's my message to all the listeners. Zoe, your final message to all the listeners, and then we'll go to Sarah, and that will.
My final message, yeah, just it's okay to ask for help when you need it is a big one. You know, we've spoken
Yeah.
about life having its ups and downs, and all of us get to a point at some stage in life where we need help. So,
Yep.
and that comes back to having a good support system, or if you need to reach out externally and get a coach to help you along these things, it's these moments that do help us grow. And sometimes we have to go through pain to get to the other side of that, which is into more of an empowered state. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Over to you, Sarah. Your final message to all the listeners.
well, I think if you're tapping into this podcast, you're already on the journey of like trying to discover yourself, aren't you? So
Wow.
strap on in. Especially you're just starting out, like
Ah,
right. But
yeah.
enjoy the journey, enjoy learning, enjoy embracing, something different and yeah, I don't know, just realize that like what life is right now is not always going to stay this way. So if you are in it right now, it's
Yeah.
just a season, it's not forever. Yeah. And just one day at a time, you'll get there for sure.
Yeah, I think that's a beautiful ending because change is inevitable. Changes are inevitable. So got to embrace them, got to accept those changes and just manage those process, basically.
Yeah.
There is
Yeah.
nothing for you to worry and nothing for you to complete and nothing for you to fail shamed or ashamed or guilt. It's all about the process that you have accepted. So thank you so much, Sarah, for this
No
amazing
problem. Thanks for
conversation.
having me, guys. I've really enjoyed the conversation.
Yeah, we
That's all.
do. And we will definitely come with some other more topics for all the listeners. But here it is, two beautiful coaches for different things, and everybody needs different things. But the question is, you have to accept every new things. That's the main thing. Get used to accepting new things rather than not accepting or managing the whole process. So this is beautiful life journey of Sarah. Once again, thank you so much, Sarah, and thank you, Zoe, for this amazing collaboration that we did today. So it's amazing.
Thank
Bye
you.
for now.
Thanks, guys.
There you go.